tell you my problems, meditating my silence. But I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go follow.
All right, guys, so next story up. So Netflix. Man, Netflix has been all the talk lately, honey. Netflix done pissed the actors and the writers off. So we got the writers and the actors strike. But Netflix is still putting out their content that they've already had. Excuse me, I got the hiccups now. Lined up. And the newest docu-series that they have coming is called Ladies' Night, A Story of Women in Hip-Hop. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, but, you know, it's long awaited apparently, and many people are excited about seeing them talk about, you know, just women rappers' influence on hip-hop and the rap culture, you know, and they go back to our legends, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Rod Digger. Okay, those are like the main focus of the legends, and then it comes all the way up to present, your Coi Lerais, your Lottos, and the such. Okay, so everybody is looking forward to this. However, now that they're starting to put out the PR for the new docu-series, people are noticing that Nicki Minaj has not been included, which is just like, Nicki Minaj, I don't care if you love her or hate her, that girl obviously is cemented in the culture of hip-hop, not even just as a woman, just period. Okay, because Nicki Minaj, at a time, there wasn't any female rappers that was really out when Nicki Minaj, you know, first came out. I mean, she took over the scene, so hands down, Nicki Minaj should have been in it, as well as Missy Elliott. Okay, and Missy Elliott has been that person that, I mean, y'all know Missy is one of my E's. You know, my E's of my people that I love. I mean, Missy, again, was such an influence on the culture, not even just for women rappers, but rappers, period. Okay, so these are two people, big names, and there are others that are missing as well. Lauryn Hill, okay, Left Eye. Yeah, the people are upset. Like, why are these folks not included? Now, I don't know why some of these other ones weren't included, but when it comes to Nicki Minaj and Missy as well, there is a podcast host who goes along with the show. His name is Sean Allen. He said that it didn't make sense for them to add Nicki Minaj into this docu-series because she didn't release any licensing. So they couldn't use any of her music, or her likeness or images, I'm assuming, now that I'm a little bit more aware about this writer's strike and all. Shout out to all of the Roxstars. Oh, there was one rock star, and he's been here forever. It used to be RRSV. God, there was a rock star that really, really broke it down, and I'm upset. I'm bummed because I can't even think of your name right now, but I know it's like, it's QRSRRVS. But anyway, he broke it down. And many of you guys actually did give some information on more of the writer's strike and the AI portion of it as well, which is very, very scary. But now that I understand a little bit more about the strike, it makes this story make a little bit more sense for me when it comes to Nicki. So Nicki would not allow her licensing of her music, and they can't use that in the docuseries, so they decided to cut her out. The same with Missy. Okay, in my opinion, even if you guys couldn't get the music, you could have gave us a little, you know, gave us a little blip on the screen and said that they wouldn't allow the music, but you guys could still talk about their contributions to the game. Okay, so it may have just been one of their, oh, well, so fuck y'all. Y'all don't want to participate. Y'all don't want to give us your likeness. Then we'll do this. I mean, it's probably a smart move on Nicki and Missy's part, because because they're still, their music is still very much widely played. So Netflix, and they could have been on some fuck shit and wasn't going to pay them or give them they just do or whatever. As much as we love Queen Latifah don't need money from this, because Queen Latifah is an actress now. We look at her as an actress first now. I mean, not first, but very high up. They don't play her music anymore. So it's different for your Rod Diggers, your MC Lights, and your Queen Latifahs. Nikki and Missy still on my radio. So, nah, nigga, y'all ain't getting this. Y'all ain't getting this. Okay? So, I mean, I understand where they're coming from. Of course, the fans are upset that they won't be there. But, you know, I think people will still end up watching the docu-series.
All the fake fans gon' pile up. I need peace to borrow. Get that shit right back tomorrow. Somehow all the fans go bravo. Smile so much to hide my sorrows. Faith is shaky in vibrato.
So, yeah, you guys, the series is set to release on August 9th on Netflix. Will you be watching?
I can't hold a frown too long. I can't stay down too long.
All right, you guys. So the other day we got a splashing headline on social media that said Quavo was on a yacht in Miami that had been robbed. Okay, and when I first saw that go across my screen, I was like, "Hey, Unc. I understand you a young black man, okay, a celebrity, a rock star rapper out there trying to live his life the way that he wants to, going out, having a good time, enjoying the beautiful things in life, things that many of us can't afford, as, you know, like going out on yachts, spending time on the water, becoming one with nature, if you will, you know. I know that this is a part of what you do, but I'm just gonna say that maybe it's time for us to just make different choices about the people that we choose to surround ourselves with. Okay, I don't like hearing that Quavo was on a yacht that ultimately ended up getting robbed. But the news, the headline again was a little bit misleading, so let me explain what happened. Apparently, Quavo was one of, they said 13 to 17 people. So I don't know how many people. They don't know exactly how many was on there. Maybe somebody got off by the time the police got there. I don't know, child. But he was on this yacht with his people. And they went out, they paid, you know how you can go out to the boat docks and say, you know, you'll pay a certain amount and can you take us out on the water and we can live like, you know, the extremely rich, but we renting, we ain't owning. Okay. We renting, not saying that Quavo couldn't own a yacht. This just was not his yacht. So they were all on this boat, went out for a good time. Okay. But like all things, good times must come to an end. All right. So the yacht captain was swinging the boat back around to take it back to the dock. And some men that were on the boat, let's see, their names are Cornell A. Whitfield and Antenna A. Workina. That's what they say. Antenna A. Workina. That's what they said the man's name is. Okay. They wasn't ready to let the good time go. So they wanted to stay out on the water. Well, the yacht captain, I'm sure he was tired of all of what was going on that boat. And he was like, no, Cornell and Antenna, we are going back to the dock. There was a confrontation that started after that. And when they got back to the dock, they had held him at gunpoint and told him that they was gonna kill him and throw him over the side of the damn boat if he didn't give them back their money. All right, they wanted a refund. No, you're not getting no refund because we have all been on this boat for, you paid for 2 hours. It's been 2 hours and it's time to go on back, you know. So they tried to manhandle the yacht captain, and which is like stupid because I don't know where the actual gun pulling and all went. But you know, when you in international waters, people don't realize that you can be a little ways off of the coast of even Miami and you can start to be in international waters where those laws ain't the same as the laws that happen on the land. Okay, so you can fuck around and get in even more trouble messing with people on the water. I need for us as Americans and just people in general to understand that everything is not the same way that the law goes here in the United States. So when you go on trips and you go out of the country and, you know, you trying to be flossy and being out in these other places, you guys know this story about the girl in Dubai. I didn't write down anything about that side. But the girl is in jail there because she then got into it with the car rental place and was screaming at the person who she says was screaming at her. So she was screaming back at the person, and they arrested her ass and put her in jail. And she's been in jail ever since, child. And that was probably top of the summer, back a month or two ago. And now her family is trying to get her out, and it's this whole story. But yeah, you guys have got to understand that you can cuss out and act a fool here in the United States, or you want to take that ass over to the Middle East somewhere, okay? Take it over to Africa. Take it over to China. Yeah, certain things you can't do what we doing here. And y'all need to know that. So these guys, I don't know what the charges are going to be. But when they got back to the dock, I guess the yacht captain had inflicted the SOS. And, the police ended up coming out, and they zip tied everybody. So that's why you see the picture of Quavo in the window of the yacht with the zip tie on. However, they quickly found out that Quavo was not associated with the robbery. He was not a suspect or a victim, so they let Quavo go. I'm sure also his superstar status helped him out there. But as far as Cornell and Antenna, look like they're gonna have some legal problems coming up. And yeah. But yeah, maybe it's time to sit on home. Maybe it's time to just chill with your peeps at the house, and because the niggas is crazy, and you don't really know how it's gonna turn out. And I'm telling you, if we find out something happened to Quavo, child, I don't know what we gonna do for Offset, because he gonna be a fucking mess. Okay, so, and everybody else, I don't want to see that happen. I want to see this man grow old, have his family and all that. And yeah, so sometimes we got to change the people that we hanging out with. I think that's something that Quavo might need to take into consideration.
Running from pain, running from strain, running from things, running from skin.
All right, you guys, in sad news, Sinead O'Connor, we found out yesterday that she has died. The Irish singer-songwriter who leapt into our lives back in the, what was that, 80s, 90s? When she was, I guess we'll say early 90s is when we first met her, when she did the cover for Prince's Nothing Compares to You. That is her biggest song to date. She's had other music, but that was the song that got our attention. I believe she won a Grammy for it. Remember, she refused to accept the Grammy. But Sinead O'Connor has a checkered past simply because she was on Saturday Night Live performing as the musical guest, and she tore up a picture of the Pope, of John Paul II. Back then, that was blasphemous. A tearing of a picture back then, today is, people don't even care, But the Catholic Church, they was not happy, and the people who belong to the Catholic Church have held that against Sinead O'Connor for the rest of her life. So she has been quite unhappy. Some will even say miserable in her life. She continued to live her life. She's had kids, and but she's never been able to gain that. Like, that was a halt to her career. Okay, they stopped it and have never tried to let her get back in that door again. And obviously, it affected her mental well-being. Well, last year, 2022, I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was last year. Her youngest, her 17-year-old son, he killed himself. And everybody who knew her said that was when she finally kind of gave up. She said that her and her 17-year-old son were like connected souls, that they saw life exactly the same way. And the fact that he killed himself, which means that he probably had depression issues, and that was the reason why Sinead and him were able to connect so well. Like I said, she has other children, so whatever it was about his depression and her connecting and then him killing himself, why people are saying that was when she just totally gave up, and she's just been existing since then. Now, They haven't said how she died. I feel like the news outlets purposely stayed away from that yesterday, because everywhere I looked, I was like, did she kill herself? No one said. No one said that she killed herself. No one said that it was medical reasons. No one said that the family, they just stayed away from it totally and never mentioned it. They just basically said that she was dead. So, very, very, very sad. In and out of rehab for addiction to alcohol and drugs. Like I said, mental health issues. I mean, it's a sad story. When I saw a picture of her, I don't know how current that was, but the picture that I saw, she looked at least 75 years old. But she was not that old. She was only 56 years old. She leaves behind 3 other children. They're all grown, obviously, but she does leave them behind. But yeah, a sad story, you guys. Rest in peace to Sinead O'Connor.
I can't hold a frown too long. I can't stay down.
All right, you guys, next story of Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard has been in the news, or in social media, I should say, them social media streets a lot lately. We know that his ex, his baby mama, Royce Reed, she had a lot to say about him not being there for the son and just trying to fake the funk for the internets, you know, because we saw a video of him helping the son work out or something like that. But that story was happening a couple of weeks ago. I was just like, Royce, girl, you know, she at one point she said that he had offered her when she was pregnant, which we had kind of heard this story before, but when she was pregnant, he had offered her like this huge amount of money, not to get rid of the baby, but to just not say who the father was, or just act as if you didn't know who the father was. Well, she turned down the money, and I was just like, girl, you should have took the money. Because if the nigga was already gonna be a deadbeat dad and not be in the boy's life anyway, it don't even really matter, right? At least you would have had something that was greasing your pockets. Because the nigga is still, I guess maybe she was feeling like he was going to eventually come around, or, you know, that maybe her son might, when he grew up, find out about it and be upset with her for that. But I would have very carefully explained that to my child when he was able to understand it, that the reason why mommy is able to take care of you so well, is because A, B, and C. But you know, nobody is knocking Royce because she made the decision that was best for her. Maybe her morals and her values was not going to allow her to do something like that. And if that's what it was, I understand. But baby, I'd have been like, nigga, give me the money. Okay? Because you ain't fucking with the child anyway. But that's neither here nor there. Now we've got this story about Dwight. It's funny because every time the story comes out, it's always like a whole bunch of Dwight Howard everywhere, and then it's nothing. Now, the newest is we got this man named Stephen Harper. He said that the basketball star, he's accusing him of sexually assaulting him. So apparently he met Dwight on Instagram. Dwight reached out to him from his secondary Instagram account. So I guess this is his like private, you know, so he just don't be having his name splashed out there when he when he falls into the DMs and tries to hook up with people. So this is what he did. He reached out to the guy in the DM and, I guess told the guy that he was interested or whatever. They sparked up a friendship. But it was one of sexual nature. Okay, like this is where I can now let you know that the story is not for the kids, because it's gonna get a little graphic. So if you need to let the babies out the room, I'll give you a little minute. So yeah. They were talking in the DMs. Apparently, Dwight was asking them for dick shots and cum shots and videos and all of this, to which I guess Mr. Harper was obliging him because this is Dwight Howard. You know, he's obviously interested and all. And he said that this happened back in 2021. So they met in May of 2021, and then they talked all the way up to July 2021, and then it was time to finally meet in person. He said that Dwight invited him over to his own home, actually, and told him that he had to leave in the morning before his family woke up. Okay. And also he wanted to make it clear that he wasn't gay. He just freaky. He just a little nasty. Okay. So he don't want to scare the man, but he wants to make this clear to him. And, you know, y'all, it's so many different rules in the LGBTQIA plus community that I'm going to just let y'all tell me whether or not that makes Dwight gay or not. I would think at least at some point we would say that he was bisexual, if not flat out gay. You know, this ain't the first time that Dwight has been in trouble like this. But the first time that something like this happened, it wasn't through him being forced. It was more so Dwight was being outed by somebody, that they were in a mutual type of relationship, and that person was tired of sneaking and ended up blasting him. So this story is a little different, in which Mr. Harper is saying that Dwight Howard had forced him into it. So he said that in July 2021, he finally went over to his house. They went up to his bedroom. They sat around, you know, they kissed for a while. They talked. He said eventually, after about 40 minutes, Dwight Howard brought it back around, the conversation back around to a sexual nature, because nigga, ain't nobody told you to come over here. Nobody want to talk about your life ambitions and everything. Let's get to fucking. Okay. So he brought it back around to sexual nature, and then wanted to engage in oral sex with the guy. The guy didn't want to do it, but Dwight was, you know, still telling them, come on, let's do it. And anyway, he ended up forcing himself on the guy and giving the guy a blowjob. Okay. Then he said that another person came into a room. I'm not sure if this was just a man that was dressed as a woman, or if this is a transgender woman, because from what I understand, there is a difference. Some people just like to cross-dress, might not necessarily be transgender, okay? But anyway, that this person came into the room, and apparently Dwight had sex with this person. They wanted Mr. Harper, to join in. He did not want to. He probably was just standing there not knowing what the hell to do with himself. And Dwight ended up getting upset, and then forcefully forced his in Harper's mouth, made him give him a blowjob. Mr. Harper said that he was afraid for his well-being, because Dwight is a big, tall, strong man, and he didn't know if he was going to get his ass whooped, that he was terrified, but he did what he was told to do. As soon as everything was over, he called the Uber and got the hell on, okay? And then now we've got this lawsuit where he is accusing Dwight Howard of rape. I'm assuming that Dwight Howard is denying this. I saw that he was kind of downplaying just his whole sexuality and everything on a podcast with Angela Yee, you know, her podcast or whatever. But yeah, this isn't the first time that we've heard things about Dwight. We just never heard anything about him forcefully or raping or anything like that. So that is what will be in question, and I guess that is what, you know, they'll talk about when the case does finally make it to the court. But yeah, he is definitely pressing charges, accusing him of assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and false imprisonment. Okay. So we're gonna see what happens with this. If he, you know, if they investigate and feel that this is a case that needs to be brought to the court, then Dwight might find himself in some legal trouble. I would hope, with Dwight Howard being who he is, that he would be smart enough to not move this way. It ain't nothing wrong with being freaky and nasty and doing all the things that you want to do, but you got to find people that want to do the shit too. All right? And there's plenty of people out there. It's a whole community of people out there that is nasty and want to do these things. So, but then we also know that some people get off on the fact that they have control over somebody, and that they can forcefully or scare you into doing things that you normally wouldn't do. So, you know, but I would hope, with Dwight being who he is and as much as he has to lose, that he wouldn't be moving that way. So we'll see. All right, you guys, I'm done with that story. You can tell the babies to come on back in.
Running from pain, running from strain, running from things, running from
you guys, well, this is a feel-good story. Maybe I didn't place this well. I shouldn't be talking about this after Dwight and shit, but the Emmett Till Monument. Actually, it's Emmett Till and his mother, Mamie Till. On the what would have been the 82nd birthday of Emmett Till, President Biden has signed a proclamation to honor Emmett Till with a national monument. Okay, it will be a national park that's with the National Parks of America, whatever it's called. Child, that ain't the official name, but you see what I'm saying. It's national parks all over the country. This will now be a national park as well. This has been something that has been a long time coming. We know one thing about the Till family is, honey, they gonna keep that memory at the forefront. They have never, even after Mamie Till died, they have never let the fight and the cause go. They made sure that they have kept that story. They've done a great job of keeping that story in civil rights history very, very, like kids know about Emmett Till, but they may not even really remember about Rosa Parks as much, you know? But what I'm saying, and many other people that were the ones that they put in front of the civil rights movement, like the faces of civil rights. But that family has made it a point. I mean, we even knew that the lady who had falsely accused him, I mean, we knew she was sick and in the hospital, and the lady just recently died and all of that. Okay, so that, and this happened way, way, way back. So, yes, I think that the national monument is very much deserved, and it's going to be 3 locations that stretch between Chicago and Mississippi. Of course, we know that he was born in Chicago, and the story goes that he was in Mississippi visiting family one summer when he went to like a local market and corner store type situation. I don't know if they called them that back then, but anyway, he got in there, and women and this white woman said that he whistled at her. Okay, but it turned, and so she went home, told her family. A mob went out, found him, lynched him, beat him up. Just awful, just terrible. The pictures even still to this day are haunting. But turns out that that was not a true story. And you know, for many years, people was hoping that that woman would be brought to justice, but it never did. She didn't admit it for a long time. There were years before she admitted that she lied, but still nothing happened to her. So this is our government's way of honoring this young man who would have been 82 years old had his life not been severely cut short from the lies of this white woman. I think this is great. I would actually like to go see it. I'm not far from Mississippi, and I know this kind of stuff is right up Mr's alley, and he's got this new thing where he feel like camping is something that he want to do. So, you know, I'm hoping to be able to visit it. Yeah, I think that is the least, and I'm talking about the very least, that this country can do for a boy whose life was robbed from lies. Okay, so congratulations to the Till family. That monument will be up and ready for people to visit very, very soon.
Couple things I know, couple things I show, couple things I...
All right, you guys, and then the very sad story. We have had some drownings this week as well. The first one that I had heard about was Quad's niece. Ariana, they call her Ari, but her name is Ariana Rice. She is the daughter, we believe, of Tamika Webb, which is Quad's sister. And apparently the sister lives in Memphis, Tennessee, but had sent her 3-year-old little girl to stay down here with her aunt Quad, it looks like. Now, this is me just kind of putting the story together because they still haven't really said exactly how it went. But it looks like the little girl was down here in Atlanta spending the summer with her aunt, okay? And apparently Quad really loved her niece, you know, she just turned 3, so she had just had a big birthday party for her, and she had posted, you know, how much she was in love with the little girl, and, you know, she had her back for life, and that, just looking at her lights her day and things like that, So it sounds like the aunt has sent the little girl to spend the summer with Quad. We know that Quad doesn't have any children, so she probably welcomed the chance to do that. But we don't really know exactly what happened, but apparently there were two men that were at Quad's house. She has a home in Marietta, Georgia. There were two men that was hanging out at the pool, just enjoying themselves. And then they said they had went into the home that evening and had ordered pizza and ate and everything. And when they came back outside to the pool later on that evening, they had noticed what they thought was a baby doll floating in the pool. When they got closer, they realized that it wasn't a baby doll, that it was actually a child. So they immediately called 911, and the police came, ambulance came, and administered CPR and tried to revive the girl, but they rushed her to Scottish Rite, and then they pronounced her dead. So we still don't know if Quad was there. They have not said that, if she was or wasn't. So we don't really know the particulars. I don't know who was home with the little girl. I don't know any of that. But there wasn't, when I look at the pictures of the pool and her backyard and all, there wasn't a fence around there. I'm sure Quad didn't think to have a fence because she doesn't have children. But it's just such a tragic story because, one, you don't want your child to drown, but you definitely don't want anybody else's child that you are in charge of to drown either. Like, you don't want to be responsible. I can just imagine the extra guilt that Quad must feel for her sister, for the fact that she was in charge of this baby, and for whatever reason, what happened, that the baby died. So my heart is broken for them, because that is a lot for a family to get over. And I can just say if I was in those shoes, it would be hard. I would still love my brother, but it might take me a little time. It just might take me a little time. I know accidents happen, and I know people, I know Quad didn't set out for her niece to die that day. But man, this is a terrible blow for her family. Terrible, terrible. So rest in peace to little Ari. They showed a little picture of her, and she was just a cute little girl. Quad called her little chocolate drop. And her life is cut short. So very, very sad. Also, we had another drowning. The Obama's personal chef, his name was Tafari Campbell. So apparently, when the Obamas were in the White House, he was a sous chef there, but they enjoyed him because he was very passionate about food, and he was fun, and he was inviting, and they really enjoyed him. So when they left the White House, they actually hired him on as well as their personal chef in the Martha's Vineyard area where they had a home. So they've been having him around ever since. Well, apparently Mr. Campbell was in the Martha's Vineyard area visiting. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know if maybe he lives out that way, since he is their personal chef for their home in Martha's Vineyard. So maybe he lives out that way, or he could have been visiting. They haven't been clear on the story, but he was on a paddle boat, and he was on a pond, and apparently the boat capsized. And that people actually saw him struggling, trying to stay up above water, but eventually he struggled for a short time, they said, and then they never saw him come back up. They called 911, and by the time they got there, they recovered his body. He had drowned in only 8 feet of water, you guys. I'm not sure if he couldn't breathe, couldn't swim. It seems like maybe he couldn't swim, but sometimes they say when you're like panicking and you get all turned around in the water, you can't tell which way is up. This is a pond, so it's not like the water was rushing or waves or anything like that, but still, this story is hard to report. Both of these stories are hard to report for me because, you guys, I have told you plenty of times that my fear is fear of drowning. So even when I was reading the stories, I had like this, and even now I have like butterflies in my stomach, because just the thought of dying that way just terrifies me. So I'm very, very sad. But yeah, they said that the Obamas were not at the home at the time. So that's why I'm saying I'm not sure if he lives there, if he was visiting other people, but he was near their home in the pond that he probably was familiar with and probably paddle boated in there often. So yeah, they recovered his body, and very, very sad. He leaves behind his wife Sharice and his twin boys Xavier and Savin. Rest in peace to Tafari Campbell.
I can tell you my problems, I can tell you my sins.
And then lastly, you guys, Doja Cat. Child, what is going on? I'm telling you, that Doja Cat is something else, honey. Over the years, Doja Cat has gone back and forth with her fans. It's sort of like she's thankful for her fans' support, but bitch, don't take it any further than that. You know, the way that she looks at it is her private life is her private life, and she doesn't owe that to her fans. Now, we know, again, in this day of social media, the fans are entitled and feel that they should have not just access to your life on the stage, but also your life, period. Okay, they want to know all the ins and outs of things that goes on with you. And let's say Doja Cat is part of the old school, where we might not necessarily be used to people just prying and knowing every little bit of our lives. Okay, but the bad thing about it is the fact that Doja Cat decides to continuously go up against her fans. You know, eventually they gonna be like, all right, bitch, okay, you don't want us to support you anymore, then we won't. Now, we've seen, this is not the first time that we've seen big stars go up against their fans. I mean, Nicki Minaj was notorious for a while. She used to go back and forth with her fan base all the time, but her fan base even crazier than her. Okay, so they like, bitch, you gonna get in line is what the fuck you gonna do, you know. And I think it was just a time that Nicki Minaj was going through that she was just sick of everybody. But you know, she's back. But yeah, Nicki used to do this as well. But Doja does it on a even bigger level. So apparently one of her big fans, you know, they were trying to talk to her on Twitter, and they mentioned that they were a kitten. Okay, Doja, you know how I call you guys rock stars. And by the way, I ain't trying to take credit and say that I started this whole naming your fan base thing, because very clearly I did not. But I can tell you that when I first started YouTube, like on one of my first couple of videos, I said I was going to call you guys rock stars. It might have even been on my first video. Okay, so I had purposely and intentionally in my mind told you guys, well, not in my mind, told you guys that you guys was going to be rock stars. And I'm just going to say that nobody else was doing it on YouTube. So let me toot my own horn, okay? But anyway, back to this story. First of all, the fan asked Doja to tell her fans how much that she loved them, and she was just like, I don't even know y'all. And you know, they still was just like, wait, we are your kittens, like why would you talk to us that way? And she was just like, that's a dumbass name, y'all need to drop that fucking name and, you know, reevaluate your life. Like, why are you so worried about being called a damn kittens? Like, that's stupid. You shouldn't even be calling yourself that. So then the girl was just like, well, why would you talk to us that way? We're your kittens, you know, and all. And then she was just like, that's a stupid ass name. Okay, I ain't told you to call yourselves no damn kittens, even though they're saying that Doja Cat was the one that would call her fans kittens at one time. Okay, but so then the girl was like, okay, well, if we don't call ourselves kittens, then what do you want us to call you? And she was just like, how about y'all just unfollow me, just delete your whole profile on that shit and go and reevaluate your life. Like, nigga, leave it alone. And of course her fans was offended by this, because really, you cussing out your own fucking fans, right? Earlier this year, Doja Cat told us that her previous albums that she's released were all cash grabs, that the songs on there was bullshit basically, and that she's about to release an album where she really truly feels like, she was being a musician, a musical artist, and not just something to throw out there for her fan base. And I was just like, well, damn. Now, it's not like Doja Cat is a small artist. She's made a lot of money. So you mean to tell me that was all the plan, is just sort of like, I'm going to throw out mediocre music? And I mean, I guess to her fans love her music, I mean, I think Doja Cat is very talented as well, but bitch, you ain't got to tell me twice that you don't want me to fuck with you, then I ain't got to fuck with you. I mean, I ain't got to do nothing. Okay? So, yeah, and this is not, again, the first time. Remember, she was overseas. The people they was upset that she wouldn't stop and shake their hands and say hello and everything. And she was like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm tired of you guys. Y'all can get rid of everything you has to do with me. Like, don't follow me. Don't support me. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm tired of you guys. And granted, I understand there is huge pressure to be a huge star today. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure, and you lose your mind. And I mean, we done seen Doja Cat just shaved all her eyebrows and shit off, and I mean, we done seen her do all kind of stuff. So I'm sure that it's hard, okay, when you don't have your own life to live. You got to live it for thousands and thousands and maybe millions of people. So I get it, but this don't seem like the best way to handle things, Miss Cat. It just don't seem like it is. Okay. But she said for them to unfollow her. So a lot of her huge fan pages, they have decided to unfollow. A lot of them from Twitter has deleted the accounts or disabled their accounts, and the same on Instagram. They just was like, okay, we'll just let it go. They don't even have a stomach to go back and forth with it like the Barbs, honey. The Barbs don't fuck around. The Barbs do not fuck around. But they've deleted and all, and she's just seems to be over it. So we ain't got no apologies. So I guess maybe she meant it this time, because before she has apologized for shit, but she ain't got around to that. They say that she's dating this guy who is sort of like a menace in this industry. What's his name? Jay Cyrus. He's been accused of like sexual assault and sexually grooming women and stuff in the past, and now she's in a relationship with him. And so I think that Doja Cat might be having a hard time under the pressure trying to keep up that relationship, and then also staying true to her fans, but still staying true to herself. I think it's just too much for her. So yes, Doja Cat said, I'm gonna give you a quote, and we gonna end it on that. Okay, she said, I don't give a fuck what you think about my personal life. I never have and never will. Goodbye and good riddance, miserable holes. End quote. I was like, well, all right. Oh, shit.
Tell you my problems, I'm uncomfortable in my skin. I'm uncomfortable with my ends. I'm uncomfortable with my friends. I'm uncomfortable with my drinking.
All right, you guys, that is it. I am going to get off of here. Listen, real quick, let me let you know that next week there will not be a Top of the Blogs, because Roxanne and Mr. will be going to visit Cancun, Quintana Roo. Is that how you say Quintana Roo? We're going to Cancun. We're going out of town for a week for our 25th wedding anniversary. Child, it was more than a notion getting here, but I can't say no regrets. Learned a lot, yeah. So now we'll be celebrating, and we cannot wait to get the fuck up out of here, child. Now, I can't even believe I'm telling y'all this, but Mr. has decided that he would like to vlog this trip. You guys know that is not my bag. It's not anything that I really want to do. So I told him that is his thing. But we'll see how it goes if we do decide to do that. But yeah, that is something that Mr. would like. He done bought cameras and gadgets and all kind of shit. So we'll see how that goes, but it won't become a regular thing. If it might just be something just this one time, just to see, just to share, you know, our 25th or whatever. But anyway, I won't be, with that being said, I am planning on doing Love and Marriage Detroit and Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm planning on doing them both on Monday so that I can be done with it and have the rest of my week to enjoy myself. But there will be no Top of the Blogs next week. Okay? I just like to keep the schedule of my scheduled TV shows that I review so that I don't have to be doubling up the next week. But other than that, bitch, no. Okay? Niggas gonna be drinking and eating and laid out in the sun. Well, probably not in the sun because it's supposed to be really hot, but I just plan on really relaxing, you guys. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, there is that. All right, so just reminding you, no Top of the Blogs. Y'all don't be asking me where it is next week, okay? All righty. And that's it. I'm gonna get on off of here, you guys. We do this every single week, so make sure that you thumbs up the video, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you come back.
Running from pain, running from strain, running from things, running from schemes.
Till next time, Roxstars. Bye.